me, this topic is really about introducing anime to more people. But that's not always an easy thing to do. You gotta find the right people. You have to feel inspired to do so. You have to pick the right anime for the right person. There's a lot to it. So I know we all attack this from a different level. We all have our own sets of notes here. So
Besides me, I'm just gonna rock out with my cock out.
Yeah, that's why I said you're just here to curse and
throw out random shows.
Yeah, throw random, just throw shit at the wall, as they say. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I had a guy in my office. He may be listening to this. Really good guy, cool dude. I like him a lot. It's a shame I'm not really in the office anymore because I'm not really going to get to hang out with that guy at all. But I have developed a sixth sense for identifying when people are a fan of anime. Like, they haven't really said so. They haven't really given an exact indication, but I just know. It's weird. So I was talking to this guy, and literally, I just knew. And I said, "You ever watch anime?" And he's like, "Oh, yeah." I was like, I knew it. It's fucking like clockwork. And it's getting easier because people are now watching anime on a wide scale. I mean, it's actually like, I think if you were to ask 10 people in your office randomly, probably 2 to 3 of them, probably 2 of them actively watch anime out of 10. I mean, it's pretty wide now, whereas it would have been a miracle if you would found even one person that watched it a long time ago. Some people will casually mention that they watch anime, and that's usually a sign that they're open to like recommendations and stuff like that. But then again, sometimes you just have to like feel them out and just guess. So he, of course, was a big Jujutsu Kaisen fan, and so there you go, really. But you got to like figure out what anime that person is most likely to enjoy. So you kind of have to sniff out the beginner fans, and then make your further recommendations. So, and I don't know, you gotta have balls to do it, because like if you're in an office or something, and let's face it, if you're 20 or 30 years old, if you ask if they watch anime to the wrong person, you always feel like someone's gonna look at you like you have like 3 heads, because a lot of us are.
Oh yeah, none of the people in my office are anime people.
None.
Yeah, and they think I am so strange, but that's okay.
I mean,
luckily for me, I mean the department I mostly interact with at work is the technology department. And of course, as the technology department, they are really into a lot of nerdy stuff. Like video games.
Is it like IT, basically?
Yeah. So I honestly, it's pretty common to find people who are at least into, fandom stuff that would go to Comic-Con and therefore are kind of predisposed to knowing about anime or not being weird about it.
Raggedy, you work in a hospital. That's totally different.
Yeah, but there's, a surprising number. Like, for example, when I'm in my office setting, I work with a lot of younger, I call them kids because they're like fresh out of college, who do like some of the stuff around the office. And I don't remember which one it was, but like one of them got a whiff somehow that I was into anime, so now they all know. So they'll like randomly talk to me about it when I'm between seeing people, which is kind of funny. And then all of my scrub caps that I wear in the hospital are anime themed in some way because they were a gift.
Such as?
I have.
Why aren't you wearing one right now?
Yeah, what the fuck?
What the fuck?
You should be totally wearing your scrubs right now.
Yeah.
I should,
Big
next time.
Okay, it's one of his only days off, and you're asking him to dress like he's going to work, guys.
He's already wasting it on this podcast. I mean, he could be out doing anything right now. The sun is shining. The birds are chirping.
Not where I am. It's rainy.
Yeah, it's terrible here, actually.
But yeah, like I have like Soul Eater, One Piece. I have JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Demon Slayer. I have like a whole bunch of them, and I'll wear them, and people will see them, and I always get like a little bit of a funny look, and then they go like, "Do you? Is that?" And then that kind of starts it. Which, getting into clocking people who are anime fans out in the wild, having something that's like a little subtle, that's not like not having like one of those like giant like Goku all over your t-shirt, not wearing something like this, like the Kaiju 8, like something a little more subtle. Like people who've seen it and know, they'll clock it and they'll see you, and it's almost like a little way to signal. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
That's funny. Well, I mean, that's like an obvious one. You know, you don't really have to have any skills to know that you're an anime nerd. I mean, you're literally wearing Soul Eater scrubs. It's amazing they make
Actually,
that.
most people who don't know what Soul Eater is, they're like, "Oh, he's wearing his Halloween scrub cap." I'm like, "Yeah, Halloween, definitely."
But they just
Love
think
that.
they think you're just out of your mind, like it's April and you're on Halloween.
Literally, yes.
What the fuck?
There are people
Another
that
people
are
who
like
would wear
that.
like Halloween socks in the middle of the year. I don't think it's that weird.
I have bacon socks. But I eat bacon like every day, so I mean that's pretty much
There's
par for the
no
course.
singular time of year for bacon.
No, it's every time. It's every day.
Every day.
Anyway.
So, anyways,
Mitsuki.
so like usually if I end up recommending an anime to somebody, it's in the context of another thing that they like. So you'll be talking to your coworker. So here's a great example. I have a coworker that left my company like a long time ago, and she was like, I don't know, her kids watched anime or something. I think she was probably like in her late 40s, and she was talking about she loved true crime and you know and like just stuff like that. A lot of women love true crime. I don't get it. Like I mean I really don't get it. I have like theories, but I know that like Carolyn loves true crime. Obviously, Pancake does. It's just chicks. Like chicks are just watching true crime all the time. I don't whatever.
Because we're always on high
Good
alert.
curiosity.
You're always on high alert.
We're always on high alert, like assessing like danger. So I think that's just part of it is to know more about said danger.
It's so sad. Women are always assessing danger. You heard it here.
I think it's
Jeez.
I mean, it's that, but it's also, I feel, for me personally, I'm just morbidly curious.
I think
many-
Caroline's just trying to figure out how to plan your next murder, Mitsuki.
Ha!
Well, yeah, that's of course. So, you know, I recommended Monster, and that lady, like, she watched all of Monster in like a month. It was very impressive. I mean, it's fairly long. I mean,
Yeah, I was shocked when you told me she finished it.
yeah, she fucking devoured that shit. But it is basically like a true crime show, sort of, with a lot of intrigue and a very elaborate story. And then she watched, like, and then it was like after that, it was just coming back to the well over and over again for more recommendations. You know, but it all started with, you know, she listened to true crime podcasts, and then, you know, from there it was Devilman Crybaby and on and on and on, and you definitely take a chance recommending something like Devilman Crybaby because, I mean, there's literally like breasts biting people's heads off in the first episode, so you really have to like trust the coworker you're recommending shit to. So you gotta really know what you're recommending and know who you're talking to, obviously, because for God's sake, you're gonna like. You never know. You might recommend something to somebody, and they might like turn you into HR. But I mean, it's true. It could be. Like, think about it. I mean, Raggedy Doctor's case. Like, he's like, oh, there's this anime called Night Shift Nurses. Who you ever seen that? It's got nurses in it. Hey, am I right?
Hey,
Boo, boo, boo.
ooh.
And all of a sudden, there's like, you know, tits and vagina everywhere, and all of a sudden, you know, someone's getting transferred to a different hospital. So you just never know. And then like the other guy, but I recommended Redline to that new guy I was mentioning. And then and I have a coworker that's huge on baseball, and I found out his whole family's obsessed with baseball. But not just like shonen baseball; they're like deep into it. They're like, "Oh, this is the number 2 all-time hitter for the so-and-so team, blah blah, and he's been playing for 30 years. And oh no, a .250 average really isn't all that good." And blah blah. And I'm like, you guys need to watch Good as Any. I mean, like most of these baseball shows are about just shonen. Like little kid is good and he can hit really far, and he. You know, like Major, one of those. Like, look, Major, probably a masterpiece sports anime, but it doesn't get into like the detailed sabermetrics and details of like the baseball industry. So if you're really a fucking baseball nerd, you got to watch like something like Good as Any, because it's getting in there about the announcers and the salaries and all this shit. And so, you know, you see like, and that's more of an adult show anyway, because it's not about little kids playing sports. And so, you know, you recommend this. It's like, oh, you know, you and your wife would really like this anime, because I mean, shit. But of course, that all starts with the fact that they like baseball, and then when your friend's already a fucking nerd, it's really easy to make that leap. So, yeah, you really got to pay attention to the people you talk to.
Oh, absolutely.
What do you guys think?
I think that's valid. I mean, I've recommended Fruits Basket to a couple girls that just like romance, that kind of, you know, brain itch section of the world through college, and then I recommended Death Note to Papa Pancake, and we watched all of that. That was a good recommendation. I feel like that's a very low entry type of anime.
I can't even imagine your dad watching anime.
fucking loved
Come
Death
on.
Note. Loved
He's such a
Death
hater.
Note. I know.
Like, oh, what is this fucking bullshit?
Yeah.
You know what's funny is we don't last 5 minutes on YouTube. They're so restrictive on there. As soon as someone says fuck, it's over. We're probably not even live anymore on YouTube.
He also watched Pluto, but he likes sci-fi and that kind
He
of
actually
thing.
did watch Pluto?
Yeah, he watched Pluto. He liked Pluto. And then I recommended to my second oldest brother Parasite, and now he's coming back for more and more anime. Just because he likes sci-fi type
People
of stuff.
love Parasite.
Yeah, people fucking love
That
Parasite.
anime's
That
ending-
is such a good low entry
But
anime.
But that anime's ending is ass. I don't know. People.
It's a fun ride.
It is. It's very violent. Yeah.
Another important thing is, like, I feel like the prerequisite here is that the person has to be open to the idea of anime. Like, they have to be open to something different from what they're used to. Because even if they do give it a shot, if they're not open about it, they're just going in thinking they're going to dislike it and, self-fulfilling prophecy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think people think anime and they think either Sailor Moon, freaky shit,
Yeah.
or Dragon
mostly
Ball.
that. Yeah, it's always about the freaky shit.
Which
Yeah.
is funny because one of the things that I had sort of on my list of how to get people into anime, because I was looking at this from the standpoint of someone who is completely just naive, knows nothing. This is like your grandma, your cousin who's never watched anything. And one of the things I had on my list was to trick them, basically. You start them with something that kind of goes around some of that barrier, right? Like, so something like films, movies is an easy way to get around that barrier. I think people are much more open to sitting down to watching a movie and not thinking of it as like, oh, it's an anime. It's like Dragon Ball Z or some other weird or something weird. It's like, the Ghibli films have like Oscars behind them. There's almost more of an acceptance to it.
Yeah. Ghibli's always a good one to recommend to people. We have our friend from Colorado, and she does not like anime. She loves all the Ghibli films I've shown her.
And then even starting with something kind of almost like I call it like anime light, where it's Western animation that's very heavily influenced. That again is a little more lowering that bar of entry. Something like Arcane or Castlevania, getting your buddy who is a big gamer to watch Castlevania is a little easier of a leap than getting him to watch a true anime.
Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah, exactly.
I think a lot of older people too are used to animated TV series as just being for little kids. Like your adults, especially if they're like,
Papa Pancake.
Gen Xers or Boomers. They're if you're of that generation, you had kids in the '80s and then the '90s. You think, oh, cartoon TV show. You're thinking Scooby Doo, the Jetsons. You're thinking maybe Powerpuff Girls a little later. Then you've got like Hey Arnold and stuff like that. And it's very rare to have a TV show from that era that is for like adults. That's a cartoon. Even stuff like Ren and Stimpy. I mean, maybe it was meant for adults, really, like in the subtext. It was still watched by little kids. So there was really not a lot of shows. That was more like a SpongeBob sort of like tone. Maybe that was a little more intense than SpongeBob, but SpongeBob has a lot of adult humor in it. Like, yeah, if you're trying to recommend shit to your fucking grandma, yeah, when you say, I've got this animated TV show, I want you to watch it, she's thinking, oh, great, my crazy-ass fucking grandson's trying to get me to watch, the Flintstones from, like, it's 1977 or whatever.
My grandma loves Spirited Away. The one in Chicago.
That's a movie.
I know.
Who doesn't love Spirited Away?
But she's like 81.
The movie is a masterpiece.
That's how you start, though. You start them with that, and then, I mean, you start them with something as good as Spirited Away. You get them. That's how you start the addiction, right? You get them chasing that high of, always trying to get back to that same kind of, they like you guys have said, like your friends keep coming back to the well because they had such that high off of that first thing they recommended. So you give them something like Spirited Away, Princess Mononoke. They're gonna want to come back for more, ideally.
Oh, it's just like